I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hi, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. Now, right off the bat, there's another paid request, this time from Frame by Frame. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of video, whether it be a topic, news, randomness, review, re-review, reaction, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And he wanted me to check out Stranger Things Season 2, Episode 6. Now, if you saw the last time I reviewed one of these episodes, it started off as calm, then I went into a bit of a rant because this show does have nice things to it. Whether in Season 1 or Season 2. Acting, music, nods to the 80s, some cinematography. It's just... And this episode I liked. I thought this was better than Part 5. Better than all the things I've heard about Part 7. The next episode. This actually had direction. It had a much better flow. It felt like it was going somewhere. Finally, things are going somewhere, ramping up. I'm not saying after the first 1 or 2 episodes that it's got to be the end of the world. I'm not saying that. But I do feel in retrospect the biggest issue so far for Stranger Things, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'll say it until the cows come home. These are stories that at best are miniseries length of stories at best, but they stretch it out too much to 8, or in this case 9 episodes. This should not be 9 episodes. I think you could tell this story much more consistently, much more strong in maybe 5 episodes. Case in point, when this is dealing with the story and things are ramping up, and you have like these 2 stories. One is the little kid Will, who's having convulsions since the last episode. He's in the hospital with Winona Ryder. His mom is there. David Harbour, who's going through decontamination, he's there. The other kid, Mike, is there. Paul Reiser, whose character is not as much as a dick as I thought he would be, which was a nice little point to his character, that he's not totally black and white evil or anything. He's not totally strictly evil, you know, the stereotypical one-dimensional type of thing. You know, instead of black white, there's a little gray area. I do like that. And the acting is fairly strong, especially by the little kid who plays Will and Winona Ryder's character. Also, the more and more I'm seeing Sean Astin's character of Bob, really liking him. See, that's actually a new character that's drawn, unlike, say, Max, who they try to share some backstory where her family went through a divorce, her dad's in California, she misses her dad, she's with her, like, mom and stepdad and stepbrother takes it out on her. Okay, but I still don't care about you. I'm sorry, I don't care about this Max character, Mad Max. Yes, it's nice to know finally in one bit of exposition dump. Like, okay, now I know something about her in episode 6 of 9. And I know episode 7, it's only going to be about 11 and some bullshit. So now that means we got technically 2 more episodes. Wow, I'm glad I know something about this girl. As opposed to, well, she plays Did Doug. Still hasn't garnered enough for me to care. But I said too, like, there's that story going on, and then there's a story where the other kid, Dustin, meets up with Mike's older sister had a boyfriend that she pretty much just dumped. That boyfriend was Steve. That was probably the biggest surprise of the episode, with this guy named Steve, and based on his interaction with this little kid Dustin, based on them bonding and trying to get him to not be so depressed, and they're talking about girls, and then he gives like a tidbit about his hair. They uses Farrah Fawcett spray. Really? Yeah. You tell anyone and your ass is grass, and you're dead, understand? And the way they're bonding with each other, and then their stories that them and then Lucas and that one girl Max, the 4 of them get together in this junkyard, and that little creature that Dustin had has grown up to be one of these like demon things, Demogorgon type things, and they're going to make a trap for it. But then there's a bunch of them, and Steve, based on his actions, being courageous, makes me, okay, I like this character. I appreciate this character. He's actually got some courage. He's got some guts. The acting's not too bad. Okay, yeah, again, I would say that was the big surprise of the episode for me. David Harbour, I do appreciate the fact that he had a moment where he's apologizing on the CB radio to 11, saying that I'm just sorry about everything. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want to lose you. But she's not there to hear it. I'm like, okay, I like that. But number one, she's not even there to hear it. Is that even going to play into later? Or is that going to be completely forgotten? Well, I did apologize to you, but you didn't hear it. So in a way, that apology was useless, except to the audience. So maybe the audience will go, well, maybe I don't hate the David Harbour's character as much now. But it's okay, story-wise, he's still talking to the air. It's just, it's more like, hey, we've made David Harbour... It's like the writers in the middle of the season realized, yeah, we've kind of made David Harbour Sheriff a real dickhead, but we also need 11 out of it because we want to do this episode that sounds like it's just shitty fucking wannabe. We hope we get a spin-off from this. And they didn't. So he's not really apologizing to her because she can't hear it, but, you know, the intention, and the audience sees it, the audience hears it, so it's all good. I'm like, well, not really in terms of the story itself, but whatever. Unless they do play into that. I just technically would be in episode 8. But again, when it's sitting on those and the story's like actually going somewhere, like in the one, they realize, which we already know, so it's pretty much the characters having to do catch up to what the audience already knows. I mean, I don't see how anyone would have... How would you not have already guessed that, yes, there's a connection between Will and this creature, and the creature can see through his eyes? I'm like, I said, as soon as that creature went into him, he's... The best way to put it is possessed. And that's correct. So again, it's like we know it, and we're just waiting for the characters to catch up to what we know. And it's like, okay, I've seen that done in plenty upon plenty. I mean, it's not the same thing, but the Puppet Masters. I just saw the Puppet Masters. I reviewed that. Haven't uploaded yet. That's a 1994 film, and that's based on Robert A. Heinlein's story from like the 1950s. So that's what I mean. I do think this show gets a lot out of its 80s aesthetic, 80s nostalgia. And they're lucky enough that they got a pretty decent cast. And, the cinematography, the score. But I don't think the script is as great as people make it out to be. It's definitely not as original as some make it out to be. Because this is all stories you've seen plentiful upon plentiful times. If you watch enough sci-fi horror films or TV shows or read this thing called a book. I don't give a shit about the older sister of Mike. I don't mind the actor who plays the older brother of Will. I don't mind him. It's just that he's stuck in this story about will he or won't he get with this girl? I don't give a fuck. And like that's the worst part of this episode. Okay, we have these two, like, finally the stories are going somewhere. These four kids are getting together and they're gearing up in this junkyard for this battle that's going to come at night. While here, the kid Will says, well, there's this spot here, and then the team, the Paul Reiser's guys get a team together with suits and guns and go to where Will pointed to. Of course, says Paul Reiser's there. I'm like, okay, a group of people with guns and they're going to a nest. And then Paul Reiser was in Aliens. What is going to happen here? Like, I wonder what's going to happen. Pull your team out, Gorman. Get out of there, god damn it! Let's rock! Lo and behold, yes. Because the creature made the kid do it, made the kid say, go here, and they believe the kid. And, of course, it's a trap, and the team gets wiped out. Again, we've seen them. They did that in Jurassic World, of course, Aliens. They've done that countless times. And you have the little screens, and the footage cuts out. Again, just like in Aliens, just like in Jurassic World. So that's what I mean. It's really nothing that new if you've seen enough of this stuff. But at least, again, it's going somewhere. Yeah, I like the music. The score in this episode is fairly good. At the beginning, when Dustin and his older guy Steve goes with Dustin to Dustin's cellar and realizes there's a hole and there's a big tunnel dug in, and when they realize that, see it, really nice music in that bit. There's also a bit where Paul Reiser shows just how David Harbour's character, the severity of the situation, where this whole tunnel system of the upside down world is acting like a cancer, and showing David Harbour the scope of it. I like the music in that bit. Again, it's nice synthesizer, darker tone to the score in this episode in particular. But they'll cut to, the girl, the guys with the conspiracy guy, and the conspiracy guy made them food. And do you like pull out? What? The pull out, the couch. Oh, as in not this pull out? Put it back in your mouth, shut your face. I don't give a fuck about the conspiracy guy. I don't give a fuck about these other two. And mail them to the Chicago Sun-Times? Good, give it to Roger Ebert. I don't give a fuck. Rest in peace, Roger Ebert. Give it to Gene Siskel. Actually, that's Chicago Tribune. Chicago Sun-Times, that would be Roger Ebert. I don't care about any of that. If someone took this whole season and edited it, you could easily, I mean easily, edit all this shit of the conspiracy guy, these two, will they, won't they? You edit that out and it would not hurt the narrative. It will only improve the pacing and improve the narrative. Because I don't give a fuck. And I would bet there's a lot of people who do not give an iota of fuck. It just ruins the pacing. But like I said, the Ford getting ready, and Dustin brought the girl Max. Dustin's with Steve, and then Lucas brought the little girl, the girl Max. It's the four of them getting ready. I do like when Steve goes, Why is the random girl the only one helping me? Come on. I said, come on. All right, asshole. Okay, that made me laugh. And then Steve goes out as bait, and you realize there's more than one. But another thing that hampers that scene, for a show that is so 80s, like wanting to be 80s music, you got 80s songs, 80s aesthetic, 80s hair, 80s clothes, 80s posters. Like you see like the poster of Jaws or something in one scene. But that's the 70s, but why this shitty CGI for these creatures? The CGI looks like garbage. It does. It looks garbage. It looks fake. It looks phony. No wonder in that whole scene there's this fog overlaying the junkyard. Yeah, to hide the shitty special effects. Why are you doing CGI? Oh, it's budget. Don't give me fucking budget. Some shitty fucking movie called Spookies in the 80s had practical effects. The Deadly Spawn had practical effects. Your season 1 was successful, a phenomenon. I think you could get the budget to do practical effects. I bet you could hire and call someone who works in makeup creature effects. I guarantee it. And it just ruins it. It ruins it where you're trying to go 80s, 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 and then here's a shitty looking monster. I don't think the design is that interesting on these creatures. I really don't. The smaller creatures. I think it's a rather boring, mediocre design. And the special effects, the CGI is garbage. At least with practical effects, okay, this is part of the charm and, puppetry, but they don't want to do that. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be lenient on that. If you want to try everything 80s, practical effects is an 80s thing. Because you cannot get more real than real, and something physically there. Again, you want to say budget. You know what? Maybe 3 of those popular songs that you bought the rights to put into your season of the show, that could probably clear up the money to hire creature effects guys to do your work. And it's not like there's wall-to-wall creatures. It's not like there's a creature in every episode killing 18 people and wrecking up the entire town. Like Gremlins. Look what happened in Gremlins. They had the whole thing. They use it with, we don't show them, but then they give you the money shots. I mean, give me a break, man. But again, I did like quite a bit of the episode, despite those issues. Like I said, I liked the way it started. It's with like Will having convulsions. What's going on? Well, I already know what's going on. You tell from the last episode. And you build up this whole thing with Dustin and Steve and try and get that little creature, and now things are turned. Winona Ryder further showcasing her solid acting chops within the show. I did Sean Astin. I like the line where he's kind of understanding what's going on. It's like, wow, I thought this thing only happened like comic books and movies. man, and then she's like thanking him and stuff. He's like, oh, I'm just a newbie. Guess I'm just a newbie superhero. Like the way Sean Astin, like he plays this role fairly well, as a fairly likable character. But I don't care about this conspiracy guy and these two fucking idiots fixing them breakfast or breakfast or whatever the fuck. But again, as the team goes in, you know it's going to be a trap, and it was. Because it's funny, I'm watching it, and then I looked over at the poster, I went, yeah, that's going to happen. And it did. So it's predictable. Decently predictable. Not 100%. Because in Paul Reiser, he's not just a evil villain. You know, and Bob, Sean Astin, I'm like, okay, is there something... Okay, he actually is a nice guy. That's cool. And the way it ends, it does a nice job. Because the team's attacked, they've reached the base, it's climbing up, where David Harbour and the kids, all of them are at. Boom, it cuts off. Okay, now you're giving the audience that sense of on the edge of your seat. What's going to happen next? Now I'm intrigued. Now, where's this going to go? Oh shit, how's that going to play out? Because now all these guys are there, and is it going to be all-out craziness? Like, what's going to happen? Maybe disappointing, maybe a letdown, but that's a way to leave a bit of cliffhanger until the next episode. Okay, that's a nice way to do it. So, I do think there's a much better episode than Part 5. Again, it sounds, from what I've heard of Part 7, better episode than that. And then we got like 2 more episodes, and that's it. And it's like, I don't see, and yeah, I like this episode, but I just don't see how I would ever want to watch this again. Is that the worst scene ever? No. Are there positive aspects? Yes. But I would only see this show again if someone did an edit where, again, you take out all the older sister and the conspiracy guy and all the lovey-dovey stuff. Will they, won't they? I don't give a shit. Like, take all that shit out. Max, I don't give a fuck about, but that'd be hard to take her out. You mean like take her out? No, but having practical effects on the creatures would help. And this stuff does not need to be 9 episodes long. Like I said, I think 5 episodes is a lenient, good amount of time. Like I said, I do think this is stuff that you could write to a miniseries, 2 nights, hour and a half apiece. I have to get back to the day when I watched like Stephen King's It on ABC. It's 2 hours, but with all the commercials, like an hour and a half. But that's just old time thinking. But anyway, this episode, didn't mind. But with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.